Yusuf never imagined that something as small as a bee could shake the very foundation of his beliefs. He had always trusted science, logic, and research. He believed that knowledge only came from years of study, experiments, and discoveries. But then, something changed. One evening, while reading about nature's wonders, he stumbled upon something that made him stop. A single verse, a revelation from over 1,400 years ago, and what he found left him in shock. The Qur'an, an ancient scripture, had described the behavior of bees in ways that modern science only confirmed recently. Yusuf's hands trembled as he read the words. It was not just a passing mention of bees. It was something much deeper, something that no human could have known at that time. How was this possible? Was this proof of something far greater than he had ever imagined? Curiosity burned inside him. He had to know more. He started researching, determined to uncover the truth. The more he read, the more he realized that the Quran was not just speaking about bees in a poetic or symbolic way. It was revealing scientific facts that had been discovered only in the last few centuries. One of the first things that caught Yusuf's attention was how the Quran described the bees as female. At first, this didn't seem unusual, but when he looked deeper, he realized something astonishing. The Quran specifically used feminine verbs when referring to the bees that produce honey, build hives, and travel long distances in search of nectar. Why was this important? Because in the world of bees, it is only the female worker bees that do all the work. They are the ones that collect nectar, build hives, and make honey. The male bees, known as drones, do nothing except mate and then die. This was a fact unknown to the world for centuries. In ancient times, people believed that all bees worked together, without distinguishing between male and female roles. It wasn't until the 17th century, more than 1,000 years after the Quran, that scientists finally discovered this truth. But how could the Quran, revealed in the deserts of Arabia, mention such a detail with such accuracy? Yusuf kept digging, and what he found next left him even more astonished. The Quran mentioned that inside the bee's body, a special liquid was produced, which comes forth in different colors and has healing properties. This liquid was none other than honey, which modern science now confirms has antibacterial, antifungal, and medicinal benefits. He couldn't believe what he was reading. Today, researchers have proven that honey can treat wounds, infections, and even help strengthen the immune system. In hospitals, doctors use a special type of honey to treat burns and bacterial infections that don't respond to antibiotics. Yet, the Quran described honey's healing nature centuries before modern medicine. But Yusuf was still not satisfied. He wanted more proof. That's when he came across something even more mind-blowing. The Quran described that inside the bee, there are multiple stomachs used for different purposes. Yusuf's heart pounded as he cross-checked this information. And there it was, scientific confirmation. Bees indeed have two stomachs, one for digesting food and another specifically for storing nectar before converting it into honey. At this point, Yusuf felt something inside him shift. These were not just vague coincidences. These were precise scientific details about an insect that people in the 7th century could not have studied under a microscope. How could this knowledge have been written in a book revealed so long ago? Could this truly be a mere accident? Or was this undeniable proof of divine wisdom? Still, Yusuf wasn't done. He had one final question. Could the Quran also contain wisdom about how humans should treat nature? He read further and was amazed to find that the Quran repeatedly emphasizes the importance of protecting the environment, caring for animals, and preserving life on earth. It encourages people to reflect on the natural world as a sign of Allah's greatness. Bees, in particular, play a crucial role in pollination, which allows plants to grow, producing the fruits and crops that sustain life. If bees were to disappear, the world's food supply would collapse. Scientists today warn that the decline of bee populations is a global crisis. Yet, the Quran had already emphasized the importance of these tiny creatures over a millennium ago. Yusuf leaned back in his chair, staring at the screen. He had started this journey looking for answers. Now he had them. The words of the Quran were not just poetic expressions. They were revelations filled with wisdom, knowledge, and scientific accuracy that the world was only beginning to understand. He thought back to all the people who claimed that science and faith could not coexist. And yet, here it was, proof that the words of Allah contained knowledge that no human could have discovered at that time. It was as if science was only now catching up to what had already been revealed. A deep sense of awe filled his heart. He realized that Allah had placed signs all around him, not just in books but in nature, in creation, in the smallest of creatures. The question was, would people take the time to reflect on them? Yusuf now saw the world differently. The buzzing of a bee was no longer just a sound. It was a reminder of Allah's power, His knowledge, and His mercy. The sweetness of honey was no longer just a taste. It was proof of divine wisdom. He had spent his life searching for evidence, and now he had found it in the most unexpected place. As he closed his eyes, he whispered a prayer of gratitude. All praise is due to Allah, the Most Wise. And now the question remains, if even the smallest creatures reflect Allah's wisdom, imagine what else we are missing. Will you continue to ignore the signs, or will you open your heart and reflect? The answer is yours to decide.